After losing her mother unexpectedly, Tanya was still reeling when, just 3 months later, her best friend died in a car accident. As she tried to plan the second funeral while still in the depth of her first loss, she felt emotionally paralyzed. Grief piled on top of grief, leaving no space to breathe. She couldn't tell which loss she was crying about more. Everything felt tangled and overwhelming. Welcome to this mini-series on understanding the language of grief, loss and trauma. My name is Nathalie Himmelrich. I'm a somatic practitioner, psychological therapist, educator and author, specializing in grief and trauma, and the host of the How to Deal with Grief and Trauma podcast. Grief and trauma are deeply human experiences, yet many of us struggle to describe what we are going through or to understand what others are facing. The vocabulary of loss is vast, varied, and sometimes overwhelming. In this short podcast episode series, we'll explore the different types of grief, loss, and trauma that people encounter throughout life. Each mini-episode serves both as an educational tool and a compassionate companion for anyone trying to make sense of their own experience with grief, loss, and trauma, or someone who is supporting someone else who is. These terms are more than labels. They are doorways into greater understanding, healing, and connection. Whether you are a bereaved parent, a caregiver, a therapist, or someone walking alongside a grieving friend or someone who's experienced trauma, these bite-sized episodes aim to give you language, insight, and tools. Each one includes a definition, some key considerations, an explanation of why it matters, relevant podcast episodes, and frequently asked questions that I have been asked by my clients and you, the listener of the podcast. And my answers are all grounded in both professional and lived experience. So let's begin. So compounded grief refers to the accumulation of multiple losses over a short or intense period of time, resulting in layered grief experiences that can intensify emotional distress and overwhelm coping mechanisms. Unlike cumulative grief, which builds gradually, compounded grief is like being hit with wave after wave, often without time to process one loss before the next arrives. It can lead to emotional numbness, burnout, or shutdown, because the nervous system simply can't keep up. This matters because people experiencing compounded grief may seem emotionally distant or too strong, but often they're in survival mode. Recognizing compounded grief can foster compassion, prevent misdiagnosis, like mistaking it for depression, and open doors for trauma-informed care. So, understanding the difference between cumulative and compounded grief. These two terms are often used interchangeably, but they carry subtle distinctions. So, cumulative grief refers to the experience of multiple losses occurring in a brief period, where each loss adds to the emotional burden. It emphasizes on the accumulation of grief over time. Compounded grief, similarly to cumulative grief, it highlights the overwhelming nature of experiencing several losses before healing from the first. It focuses on the intensity and difficulty of coping with these overlapping losses. So here are some of the questions. Can compounded grief affect physical health? Yes, it can lead to fatigue, sleep issues, immune challenges, or chronic pain due to the prolonged stress. Another question was, why does it feel so confusing? So your body and mind are still processing the first loss when more arrive, creating like an emotional fragmentation. And in that sense, it's okay to feel numb, because numbness is often a survival response when grief feels just too much to bear. So what does support look like? Validation,
trauma-informed therapy can be really helpful here, and pacing, not rushing the grief process or expecting linear healing. If you're supporting someone going through this, offer steady presence, not pressure. Help with daily tasks. Don't expect clear emotional processing. Will it always feel this overwhelming? No, with time, space, and support, the grief can be metabolized layer by layer. And another question is often, should I wait until I'm done grieving the first loss by starting another? And grief doesn't work in order. Let the feelings come as they do, because grief isn't linear. The topic of the next episode is grief due to non-death loss. Stay tuned. I hope this episode has helped you feel more grounded in the language of loss, grief, or trauma, and maybe even offered you some clarity, validation, or insight into your own experience or the experience of someone you care about. Grief and trauma are deeply personal, yet universal. When we can name what we're feeling, we take one powerful step closer to healing and the integration of our experience back into our life. If this series resonates with you, I invite you to keep exploring. You'll find more resources, courses, and ways to work with me at nathaliehimmelrich.com. And of course, you're always welcome to revisit any of the episodes whenever you need a gentle reminder that you're not alone. Until next time, take good care of your heart.